there lovelies and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see from the title of today's video, we're going to be reacting to iLaw by SB19. I am so excited to get into this one. I've had so many people tell me how amazing this song is and really recommend this one so much. So I'm super excited to see what we're going to be getting from this song. Obviously it's SB19 as well, so I know it's going to be absolutely incredible. But before we do get into this video, if you guys are new to the channel, then welcome and thank you for joining. Make sure to click on that subscribe button down below to stay up to date with what I post on this channel. And while you're at it, why not leave a little like on this video as well? It really does help me to see what you're enjoying watching so I can keep on making more videos like this. But with all that being said, I just can't wait to get into this, so let's go.
Kanina ay nahuli ang aking sarili. Nakangiti na naman at nagkukumli ng tunay na kailanman ay di ko maipagsasabi na naman na naman. At pagdating sa aking tahanan ay hindi ko na naman mahanap aking susi. Saang lubalap ko ba to na itabi pasintabi na naman na naman. Nahihilo na sa inyo. Nasaan na nga bang sarili kong pagkatao?
I'm gonna cry, aren't I? I just know, I can feel the tears starting already. This song is so beautiful, like, so beautiful. I love how as well for me it's more so the first acoustic style song that I've heard from SB19. Obviously I heard Time, but I feel like with this one, it really is just so stripped back in terms of just having that guitar, you know, really just speaking almost feels like your truth, you know? They were talking about being able to express just who you are and express that real truth. And I feel like it's almost as if within this world, you know, there's always so many different opinions. There's always so many people who have their own thoughts of you and their own perspectives of you, and people who don't necessarily give you the understanding of being a human being, almost in a way. Like, I feel like we've almost desensitized ourselves from actually understanding sometimes that behind, you know, the flashing lights, behind the cameras, behind what you see of somebody, even just like a person, you know, there is this whole human being with feelings who matters within this world. And I think sometimes we do almost lose track of that because everything has got so polarized, you know, and really just has been thrown at us in terms of the media and always having these expectations of people and holding people to these such high standards and these stereotypes. It does just feel like you almost have to work yourself in a way to fit those standards, you know, and to fit what people expect. But I just love in this song that they're just saying, like, where is sort of like this reality? Where is actually who we really are? You know, how do I find and show people who I really am and my sense of identity in a world that is almost constantly trying to halt us from being who we are, in a sense? It's what it feels like anyway. I think them just talking about, you know, not being able to express their truth. I think sometimes when you do have people who are more well known, it is just like people don't necessarily want to know all of the truth behind everything. They just would rather make this picture for themselves based off of what they see of like this 2D image of a person. But it's like there's so much more dimension to a person than just what you see. And I think that this song just really saying like there is such a depth behind who we are as people, and just don't always focus on the good that you see because we've been through so much hurt and pain to get to where we are. And, you know, just as individuals and within our own lives, like privately, we've been through so much, but that is things that people don't get to see, but they still judge us based off of the things that they do get to have an insight into, as opposed to actually understanding the full picture and really giving us that space to be able to express ourselves. It just is so heartbreaking.
Kahit pa ako'y sumigaw ay malabo. Oh, at tao po, pakinggan nyo naman ako. Bakit di nyo subukan buksan ang bukas namang pinto, nang tuluyan ang makita nyo, tunay na ako, di nagtatago. Sa likod ng bumubulang na ilaw na to.
absolutely devastating. I think as well, it's just like the vocals almost being like those cry outs, you know, they're talking about just wanting to shout out and have somebody actually hear you and see you for who you are, as opposed to what they perceive of you. And it's just like you hear that even in the vocals, like that emotion and that pain and just that sense of just wanting somebody to listen and to just see you for who you are, you know? Just it breaks your heart, doesn't it? I feel like this song, to me, it just is that real like call out in just saying like we're people, we're human beings, we've got feelings, we've got emotions, you know, we see everything that people say and we hear people's opinions and, you know, sometimes have to deal with all of this scrutiny and the flashing lights and people constantly feeling like they know who we are, but it's like beneath the surface of everything, nobody knows what goes on behind the scenes. Nobody sees, you know, all the dedication, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the absolute just grind that we have had to put into getting to where we are. Nobody knows, you know, our own personal things that we go through. It just is like sometimes before you take a moment to criticize somebody or judge somebody in a split second, like realize that just like you, just like me, they are people, like they are honest and wonderful, amazing people who deserve the right to be treated as such, as human beings, as somebody who is just like you and me, and to be understood on that level as well, you know, just that basic human understanding of one another. And I think that's gotten so lost within the world, isn't it? And I love hearing songs like this from SB19, almost like calling out to that and just saying, like, when did that almost disappear in a way? You know, what happened to this sense of humanity and this sense of light within the world?
Likod ng bumubulang na ilaw na to. Napapamuni-muni sa kawalan ng huni. Di mapapirmi aking sarili. Ilaw nga ang dahilan kung ako ngayon nasan man. Ngunit kailangan kong magpahinga, pati ng ilong pansamantala.
This song really is like just hearing them say like, you know, we always wanted this dream, we always had this light in our hearts of what we thought this dream would be, you know, and it is everything we could have wanted in one aspect, but in the other aspect it is just like those blinding lights, you know, that sense of never being able to turn off, because the moment you turn off, people almost just disappear in a sense. It feels like, anyway, you know, sometimes when you really do just shut off from the world, it is just like sometimes people don't necessarily understand that as well as you loving somebody and what they do and appreciating them for their music and their artistry and whatever else it may be, it is just like sometimes the pressure and the weight of the world that you must feel on your shoulders being somebody like a member of SB19, somebody in that spotlight who is constantly, you know, facing that scrutiny. It is just like sometimes you must need a break away from everything. And just hearing them say, but I need to rest and turn off the lights for just a bit, like, I just need a second to be able to almost like find myself again, because you get so wrapped up, I feel like, in other people's opinions and trying to reach this standard of what they want from you, that it is just like, how do you then still keep to being who you are? You know, there's always that part of you within yourself, but I just think, again, them just saying that sense of identity, it does get a little bit blurred in the lines. It must do, because you're constantly having to almost match what people are wanting to see. So you do have to almost shape yourself in a way as well around who you are, to almost, you know, continue to meet people's expectations. And just like we were talking about in the Damn music video, in that sense, it does almost feel like you're constantly again on this loop, on this cycle of being on this merry-go-round of feeling like you have to be something or be someone, that sometimes you question if that person, that vision, that reflection is truly wholeheartedly you. And it must just leave you second guessing everything, you know, to be in a position like these guys. Like, It must be such a difficult experience, as much as it's incredible, and I'm sure they have so much gratitude and love and light. You can see that through everything they do, for everything they've achieved, and for the fans, and for their music, and just everything. It must also be so difficult to really have that burden of people's opinions constantly, really just being something that you can't escape from. I will just say as well, I did forget to mention when they were talking about those doors opening and closing, just open that door for me so you can see who I really am. I think the way that played on the keys in the beginning as well, like I've lost my keys, like where could they be? It's almost like you're trying to find an escape, you're trying to find a way in which people can see you. You're trying to unlock this almost like door into people really seeing that version of you. But it's like, how can you show people who you completely are, because it's not going to be what they necessarily want. I think this song for me is definitely one of those ones from SB19 where it is just like the lyricism is so poetic in a sense to me in this one. I just think that like all those metaphorical symbols almost like playing a part of their story as well. It just is so beautiful.
Bakit ganito? Inakalang magbabago? Kabayaran ba dito'y sarili ko'y maglalaho? Sino bang may tenga sa mga bulong ko? Kahit pa ako'y sumigaw ay malabo. Oh, tao po, pakinggan nyo naman ako. Bakit di niya subukang buksan ang wakas namang pinta nang tuluyan nang makita nyo? Tunay na ako, di nagtatago sa likod na bumubulag na ilaw na to.
Again, it's just like hearing them say, is this the price for achieving all of our dreams, like for being in the place that we thought would be like this real beautiful sanctuary for us, because it's finally everything we've worked for and everything that we've given our lives for, like their whole youth. When you really think about how much time they've given to this, like they've spent their whole youth really just working to get to this point, and it's like now they're finally able to see all of the success. It's like, but actually, is the price I pay for all that dedication and love, that I've given, like, is the price I pay for that being so misunderstood, not being able to be myself, having to hide so much of me because it's not what people want to see? It just is so unbearably sad. And like just hearing them say like I'm calling out to anybody, like I'm even whispering in like this silence just for somebody to hear me, like I'm screaming, I'm crying out, just for somebody to hear me and see me, and not just see this, image of what people want from me. Like, I just want to be able to be seen for me. Really, it's heartbreaking.
Ito na naman ako, patungo sa presinto, mag-iisip ng kung ano-ano. Kailan bang laya ko dito? Ito na naman ako, pwede bang ipagpaliban muna ng isang linggo? Pwede muna bang hinto? Papalapin na, ako'y papalapin na, bigat siya pag ng bawat hakbang nitong paa.
So sad. You really can just hear every single thing that they're feeling within this song. Like, you can't deny that this song is just them. Like, it's their emotion, it's their feeling, it's their honesty, it's their vulnerability, it's just everything that is encompassing them. And I'm so grateful to hear artists like this who really are just like so honest and real in just saying, yes, you see this life that you think is the most beautiful thing that I'm leading. You know, people looking in would think that I have the most amazing life and that I could wish for nothing else in this world. And yes, I'm so grateful to be at that point, but it's also like you don't see everything that makes this life what it is for me. You don't see the sacrifices I've had to make. You don't have to see the time that I've had to take. You don't have to see, you know, all of the things I've had to neglect to be able to really shine in this way. But it's almost like everything they've done, everything they've given, everything they've loved in life, to those people who do scrutinize and who do have negative opinions and who look at them and judge them, it just is like all of that is so meaningless to them. And it's just like, have some sort of heart and understanding that your words and what you say about these people who are just trying to do their best and give their love for people who enjoy their music and find light within their music. Like, just have the heart and understanding that they're people, you know, at the end of everything. And I do think that, again, it does get blurred. It's almost like people look at, I want to say celebrities, but artists, musicians, actors, whatever it may be, whatever industry somebody's in. I feel like people look at those people and think that they have the right to be able to formulate and showcase these opinions. But it's like, what gives them the right to really scrutinize people, you know? It does, again, this song, it really does just make you think of like society and humanity and what we've come to as well. Like, to think that it's okay to act in that way and to, you know, really just have that viewpoint of people before even understanding them. It just is heartbreaking. And I think the lyric that really gets to me is just hearing that sense of like, once again, I'm entering that like prison, you know? And it is just like, you can't really talk to anybody. You can't really share what you're feeling with anybody. So it is like you're a prisoner in your own mind, you know? This song is just so emotional and just so absolutely just like heart wrenching. Like, it really is just like the biggest cry out, I feel like. Just hearing them say, like, why am I even still alive? It just really, it shows how drastically that people's opinions and people's thoughts can really just impact you. Like, I feel like this obviously is an internal battle within yourself as well, you know, feeling like you're almost like a prisoner within your own mind, feeling as if you can't escape those dark thoughts sometimes. But I think the bigger picture is just like, the reason why you're questioning yourself sometimes is because of people, you know, because of outside sources who make you feel a certain way about yourself. And I think that is something that, again, people don't necessarily understand the gravity of their words and the gravity in which, like, they can really stick with you. And I think just hearing them cry out saying, like, who? Like, who? You don't need any more words than that to just really understand what they're saying, because the message just runs so deep, you know, and just say, like, who am I in this world, you know? Because to every person, I'm a version of somebody different, almost in a sense, you know, because people are never going to just be able to see that one version of me as like my true authentic self. There's always going to be somebody who sees me in a different light to the next person, the next person. So it's just like, at the end of everything, who am I? Just honestly, this one's really like cutting so deep. And I think, obviously, I can't necessarily relate to this song in the sense sometimes in which they're talking, but I think there's elements of this that I feel like I relate to, and I feel like many people listening to this song will relate to, and just sometimes questioning yourself, also feeling a little bit like you're isolated within your own mind because you've got nobody who's there to listen, you know? And I think that all of us can relate to that sense of sometimes having that darkness really take over, but it's just hearing the emotion in everything in this song for me that's really getting to me, like hearing those cries in the back and hearing those like screams and call outs. It's just, it's like the building up of all this pressure inside as well. You know, I think as we were getting further and further into the song, the more that it was building and building and building. And I think that just is like you start out this journey with all of these ideas and these beautiful, you know, thoughts as to what this life's going to be. And then the more that you progress, the more that it just feels like there is this pressure and this weight and this burden and this hurt and this pain. And I think as we went through the song, the way that the music was building, it's almost like that is just a complete replication of just all those feelings whirring inside of you. To that point of now just being like so distraught and just not knowing where to turn, that it is just like you lose sight of everything. And it's just like, well, what do I do now? Like it's almost in a sense of like not giving up, but losing hope, losing faith, losing belief. It just, it's so unbelievably sad to even think of.
Sino ang may tenga sa mga bulong ko? Kahit ako'y sumigaw ay malabo, malabo, malabo. Sino bang may tenga sa mga bulong ko? Kahit pa ako'y sumigaw ay malabo. At tao po, pakinggan niyo naman ako.
Love as well when he's saying like, even if I shout I'm unheard, and it's like there are those faint echoes of like repetition of what he's saying going on in the back, and it's like that is just completely showing you that when you shout out sometimes, you know, when you really try and get that help, when you try and have people understand you, you just get hit with that sense of it just fading out into the background. The musicality on this as well, like, is absolutely incredible and it's so clever. And I'll keep on saying it, but the lyricism when it comes to SB19, it really does just like move you in a way that I can't even explain.
Subukan buksan ang wakas ng pinta nang tuluyan ang makita niyo. Tunay na ako, di nagtatago sa likod ng bumubulag na ilaw na ito.
Wow. Gosh, that's made me really upset as well. That breaks my heart because like they're some of the most amazing people and just, like incredible talents. I like to just hear that sort of inner monologue of them just saying like, I feel like at the beginning and end all of everything, you know, despite what anybody thinks of me, I just feel like I'm nothing. It just makes me so sad for them. And I think the one thing I am so glad about and I'm so grateful to know is that like they have so many lovely fans in 18 that always are there to support them, you know, and I think that there definitely is a lot of light that the fandom bring to SB19 and I'm sure that they feel all of that love and all of that, you know, gratitude from people who listen to their music. So I think just knowing that they do have that support, it definitely is a great thing to know and it makes you feel a little bit more comforted. But even so, it's like just hearing their own perspective of themselves, you know, it's just so heartbreaking. Honestly, I think for me, this one really absolutely just completely has like, I can't even describe the way in which I feel like this one's really moved me. But I think just hearing that real sense of them just feeling so alone, you know, and just feeling so trapped within themselves and their own emotions, their feelings, and just hearing them say that it's almost like you feel as if you don't know who you are because you can't find yourself in amidst that sense of expectation and that sense of like the weight of the world. It just, It really has like thrown me through a loop. This song was so powerful, emotional, heartbreaking, just every single aspect of just I feel like SB19 themselves, went into this like all of their feelings, emotions, and you could really hear that coming through this song. And I'm so grateful that they, you know, created such a beautiful song from something that is definitely so difficult I can imagine for them to experience. But I absolutely love this song. It was so beautiful. I'm really enjoying hearing more from SB19, and I think just hearing all different aspects and sides of their music and just who they are, it really is such a beautiful thing. So I am so glad to continue to react to more SB19 songs. So let me know in the comments what else you guys want to see me react to. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching along this video with me. If you did, then like I said, make sure you're clicking that subscribe button down below to stay up to date when I post on this channel. And while you're at it, why not leave a little like on this video as well? It really does help me to see what you're enjoying watching so I can keep on making more videos like this. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day and I will see you in the next video.